showcase in Toronto. We're having a ID camp as well. The colleges are going. I thought about it though.
She's how old?
12. As E&E is also having colleges come out. Like that. It's like 27, 28, 29 graduating.
Yeah.
That's why it's 31. Well, I'm going to send you there. Oh, dang it. Oh, I'm better than all of them. Next one, right? Oh, that's
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's tough because we know how tight it is, and just, you know, the situation we're in. We need points desperately, and I think just, you know, at the end of the day, regardless of the score today, you know, we move on and we have to continue to try and control our fate. We got 3 games left. We got a tough road trip here, and again, all we can do is try and control what we can control, and that's being ready to go against Vegas. And, you know, there's 6 possible points left. Can we get all 6 and see how the cards fall? That's all we can do. And, you know, it is frustrating. Just, we worked so hard to get back in this mix. You know, we knew we weren't going to go whatever it was, 28 or however many games we had after the break, and but yeah, we got to stick with it. We got to keep fighting.
like I really appreciate how blatantly honest Josh was after that game.
Well, I mean, what he said is correct. And they've got themselves into quite a pickle now. I mean, we knew it was going to be a very steep hill for them to be able to climb to get back in. But that loss against Philadelphia certainly, you know, seems to be have sealed the deal in many ways. You need a lot to go right
lots
now.
Lots of help.
In order for the Jets to be able to make it into the postseason. But there are still 3 games, and there's still a lot to see what this team is able to do, because you never know. I'm Sara Oleski. He is Jamie Thomas. The Jets kicking off back-to-back games on the road. It starts tonight in Vegas. This is a Golden Knights team that is still, we know they're going to be in the postseason. Where they're finishing in the Pacific Division, or even, I mean, in theory, it could be in a wild card spot, depending how things close out for the remainder of the games, remains to be seen. But John Tortorella in as head coach over there. So there have been a number of changes with that Golden Knights team since the last time that the Jets and Knights cross paths. And then they finish off the road trip in Utah tomorrow. So we will see what sort of response we get from the Jets in this game here tonight.
Yeah, like you have to give Philadelphia credit, because Philadelphia was in a better position than the Jets are. They still are trying to lock down 3rd spot in the Metropolitan Division. They had to win to keep their playoff chances alive, because Columbus, of course, is pushing as well in the Eastern Conference. So they come out quickly And again, when Hayden Fleury ties the game on just their second shot, like he had the rebound, the first shot, then the rebound, he scores on it. I'm like, okay, they're going to do this again.
Yeah.
They're going to give the first goal, they're going to come back. They like Philadelphia had dominated up until that point. I'm like, okay, they're going to be okay. And then Philadelphia just took over from there. So, and then on top of that, Adam Lowry was also as honest as Josh Morrissey was about just they weren't ready right from the start of the game. So,
and Scott O'Neill said that in his post-game availability as well, that they weren't ready. He took responsibility for it, did not really elaborate when he was asked in what way were they not ready.
Right.
How
and he took credit for it. Yeah, right.
But he said that, he, as the coach, he puts that on him. But so it was disappointing to see. I think so many people were excited coming into that game. You had seen them be able to get points. They were still in the mix. And then just to come out, and it wasn't just that they lost. To me, it was how they lost. So looking forward to seeing them bounce back, because there's a lot of pride in this group. So we will see what happens tonight in Vegas. But as we mentioned, Vegas also having a lot to play for right now as well. We caught up with Jesse Granger from The Athletic. He covers the Vegas Golden Knights. So
always something interesting going on in Vegas.
Always.
Yeah.
And so because of the time change right now, you think Vegas is 2 hours behind us. He wasn't able to join us live. So we taped something with him this morning and got his perspective on it. And then looking forward to having the voice of the Manitoba Moose, Daniel Fink, join us in just a little bit as well.
Why?
Well, for a variety of reasons, including obviously the Moose are headed to the postseason. So we'll get an update on them. But then yesterday, before the Jets flew out, they did not skate, but they did announce that they had 2 emergency recalls. So Braden Yeager and Nikita Chibrikov were called up. And so with the time change, morning skate has not happened yet. So whether we see them in the lineup tonight, we do not know, but we could be seeing the 4th NHL debut of the season for a Winnipeg Jet player.
Yeah. And that's here's the other part where one of the key things we're going to talk to Dan about is how Manitoba keeps doing this, because just have Lambert, they have Salamonson. Like there's, the roster's been depleted a little bit, but they keep winning. And that's full credit to Mark Morrison and the coaching staff for the Manitoba Moose. The fact that they are still in the hunt or they're in a playoff spot, but they're trying to get better positioning, of course, in their division. So we'll talk to Daniel about that. But there could be a debut tonight. We're not sure about it. But pay attention to the CJOB, of course, and TSN.
Well, and hopefully we'll be able to find out.
You know what?
Guaranteed that Mitchell Clinton will tweet out what the lines are if they see them at morning skates. So that should happen at about 1:30. And so you also know that Winnipeg Sports Talk, who will be live at that point in time, will have any updates for you from there as well. One thing I did want to ask all of you in the chat, because we always love being able to hear from you, is which prospect, or we can go beyond prospect and go young player as well, are you most interested in seeing going forward? Because there are a number, and whether they're up with the Jets right now or down with the Manitoba Moose, we've had the opportunity to see some of them. And so we want to know, for you, who are you most interested in seeing going forward?
Well, of course, we've seen Nikita Chibrikov before, right? He's had opportunities with the Winnipeg Jets. And then on top of that, Braden Yeager, of course, a big part of the key return in the Recker McGroarty trade. Very important trade considering how much the Jets invested in Recker McGroarty with the draft pick that he was selected at. But Braden Yeager, great player of the Moose Jaw Warriors, Western Hockey League champion, played the Memorial Cup as well, has that experience, but it's his first year pro hockey. So very curious to see if he does get a shot this week. That's the guy I'll be looking for.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see that if Chibrikov gets an opportunity to get back into the lineup. He played 8 games earlier this season. I was wondering, because it was early on in the season. It was at the very beginning. So not remembering different line combinations or where he had the opportunity to play. So he did have the opportunity to play with Nyquist and Taves on that second line, Iafallo and Taves, and then Kepke and Barron on the 4th line. So he was really used in a variety of different capacities as well. Again, will we see either of them on this road trip? Not sure.
Yeah, we'll find out a little bit later today. So something to keep an eye out for as this day wears along, as the Jets will be taking on the Golden Knights in their 3 games left in the regular season. It's gone by really fast.
Yeah.
Think about it. And I really thought they were going to pull this off.
Well,
because every time okay, this game's going to be tough, then they'd win.
Yeah.
Tough place to play and win.
Yeah.
But the Flyers game really seems to seal it. So really in the whole scheme of things, the Los Angeles Kings are also playing tonight. If LA wins, the Jets are eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs. If the Jets lose here tonight as well, same thing. Eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs, whatever LA does.
Yeah. A couple of questions in the chat right now. Did Jamie bring apple fritters in? He did not, unfortunately. So that's disappointing.
It's Monday. I'm trying to try something new.
Okay.
Yeah. Apple fritters need to leave my diet for a bit. Spare tired. Being created.
Several people saying that they are very excited to see and hope to have the opportunity to see Jaeger in the lineup and see what he could do. Parker Ford, as well as one of those ones that, again, looking forward. So who is it that you would like to see from the Manitoba Moose? We do know that there is going to be playoff hockey starting next week. At where, when,
yes,
still to be determined.
There's a
when
lot
it comes to the AHL, there's a lot of movement that is yet to be determined that can go on with the AHL, but we do know that the Manitoba Moose will be in the postseason. We also know that through the month of April, we have been playing the Tim Hortons Hockey Challenge.
Yeah.
And so if everybody wants to take a look, we hope that you've been playing along with us. If you haven't up to this point, what is taking you so long?
Right. So much fun.
Join the competition.
Yeah.
It's
open the app.
So yes. So here's what your option. Here's how you go about participating in it.
Yeah. Just open up the app. Go to the Tim's Hockey Challenge. Of course, play for a chance to win bragging rights with benefits of the Tim Hortons app. You see the multiple games today. I have chosen, of course, if you go 7 consecutive days in a row, and I've said this a lot, but if you win 7 straight days, one of the 3 players you pick, or all of them, if they score over the 7 days, you get 7 free days of coffee. And who doesn't like free stuff? I chose Cole Perfetti, Moritz Seider, and Jonathan Toews as my Tim's Hockey Challenge trio.
Okay. And I chose, one of the options that I was looking at last game had been Hayden Fleury, and thought,
we're going to go into this thing where I should have. I was looking at it.
I was so happy when he scored, and I thought, but my first thought, why didn't I choose him? So my choices for today, I'm going with Cole Perfetti.
Yeah.
I am going with Jamie Benn, who I know has not been scoring lately, but I feel like it could break out. They are playing in Toronto against the Leafs, and the Leafs
I like how you have
been
a whole
giving
process.
up. I do. The Leafs have been giving up a lot of goals recently, so I'm going to go with Ben, and then...
So anybody against Toronto, you're going to say, gotcha.
Then former Toronto Maple Leaf, Scott Lawton, who had been traded to the LA Kings, and we will see...
Who the Leafs gave up a first-round pick for.
For it, they are playing in Seattle tonight.
Okay.
So those are my choices.
All right. I like that. I like the explanation behind them. We do not need to explain why our first guest is coming on the show. He is the voice of the Manitoba Moose, who are playoff bound.
Yeah.
It is Daniel Fink joining us from Hockey for All Center. Great background, even though it looks like you're using a green screen, but I know for a fact that you're there.
Just because I'm so well lit.
Yeah, I know. Who did that for you? Like, is that Frankie's work or what?
This is a professional setup that definitely isn't my laptop sitting on a random box.
No, not at all. It's a big camera, massive studio, lots of lights, floor director, all that stuff like that.
Yeah, you know the satellite Hockey for All Center studio.
I love it.
Yeah.
Fill in the sponsor's name here. Let's see. Let's go over. So the Moose clinch a playoff spot. I'm going to ask you how, because the Jets have done everything in their power to make sure that the Moose have to keep bringing newer players in to keep things rolling. But seriously, though, Daniel, what has been the key for the Moose's success so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at this team, it's obviously one that has relied on its defensive play, especially through the first half. I mean, they were leading into kind of the trade deadline area. They were in the top 10 in the AHL for goals against. Obviously, that has changed. I mean, you mentioned some of the changes for the Moose with players like Billy Hainel and Elias Salamonson heading up to the Winnipeg Jets. Now, they've dealt with some injuries as well. David Gustafson's been out of the lineup for roughly the same amount of time, and correlating with that, you can see the Moose goals against numbers start to climb a little bit. But then into March, Thomas Milic had a brilliant month between the pipes, was one of the top goaltenders in the American Hockey League to help the Moose along. He had 3 shutouts that month, including 2 1-0 victories. So while this Moose team doesn't score a ton of goals, though they've certainly been trending in the right direction in that regard of late, they've relied on their defensive play. And then throughout this kind of stretch here, it's been kind of relying on one or the other throughout the games. They've come out with some dicey wins over the last little bit, been able to build up some leads, have used up that insurance, and then in other situations have had to fight it off and win in overtime. So they have just found ways to win throughout, and they're in a Central Division just beats up on itself. So there are teams that are fighting for positioning, and it just seems like every day they're going back and forth. I mean, even to this point, there's about 4 different playoff scenarios available for the Manitoba Moose with just 3 games left on the schedule.
Can you give us an idea in case we do see Jaeger make his debut on this road trip? If we see Chibrikov get into the lineup as well, give people an idea of the types of seasons that they have had so far.
Yeah, I was talking to Bob Nardella about Braden Yager just the other day leading into the game against Texas, and he said it's been a very what you would expect from a player going through that developmental process. I mean, there's been periods of real growth where they've seen him kind of raise his level, and then it's kind of tapered off as he kind of hits that level and has to learn how to take the next step. And then in March, we saw him start to produce a little more and more consistently and pick up 10 points in 15 games. That was tied for the Moose lead in that very busy month for Manitoba. And then we saw him score a big goal leading into the call-up for his 10th of the season. So 30 points in your rookie season in the American Hockey League is certainly nothing to scoff at. So there's been a lot of learning going on for Braden Yager, and he's been able to find a way to produce. And then similar on the scale with Nikita Chibrikov, while he's a more experienced player, he's been kind of entering into life post a pretty significant surgery as it came with his knee and what happened last season. So that can take a long time to sort out. When you talk to players who have been through similar injuries, it can take a full season for them to get back to the player that they were before the injury, or learn how to play with some of the limitations that brings along going forward. So for Chibrikov, again, a player that we've seen start to produce on a more regular basis lately, he's been focused on finding ways to be effective and help the team when he isn't racking up points. And that's important for any player, especially if you want to play in the National Hockey League, because you're not going to rack up points consistently all the time unless your name is Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor. Those are the guys that are looked to put up points every single night. So if you're not going to be scoring, you've got to find a way to be productive in other ways. And Nikita Chibrikov, spicy guy, likes to get into the mix. And
Yes,
we've seen that physicality come to bear in many different ways. So it's been great to see him kind of getting back to just having fun and enjoying the game, because I think early on there was a lot of frustration for him, but we've seen kind of more of the old Nikita Chibrikov, and that's been great to see.
Okay, well, just thanks to Rihanna for posting this to us in the chat. Mitchell Clinton just posting from Vegas. No Pionk, I follow or Mestikov at the NHL Jets morning skate. So as of this moment, it is Niederreiter, Jaeger, and Chibrikov on the Jets' fourth line, and line rushes at least. So as of this moment, unofficially, it looks like Braden Jaeger is going to make his NHL debut. But again, lots of time between that and this happening. So Daniel, the American Hockey League, very different in terms of their playoff structure. How many different options do the Manitoba Moose have going into the Calder Cup playoffs?
This is always my favorite time of year when it comes down to explaining how the playoffs work in the American Hockey League, because it's different for 3 divisions. Both the North and Central Division operate under a format where the top 5 teams get in. The first round is played between the 4th and 5th seeds, which the winner, your prize, is facing off against the Grand Rapids Griffins. So the Moose trying to avoid that series as they head into this final week, controlling their own destiny as it stands for grabbing 3rd place in the division. They are 2 points behind the Texas Stars, but at this current juncture hold the tiebreaker against the Stars, who have just 2 games remaining. So an opportunity for the Moose to move up the standings, and if they end up tied with the Stars, likely, we still have to see how the final games shake out, will hold tiebreakers there against Texas. So that will help them move up into that 3rd spot, in which case they'll start off their playoff drive against the Chicago Wolves in the Central Division semifinals. Now, if you start looking at other divisions, a lot of folks will call that first round series a play-in just because of how it looks in this division. But if you go over to the Pacific Division, everybody plays that first round except for the top seed. So it very much is the first round of the postseason, that best of 3 series. You want to avoid it as much as you can in the Central Division, just because of how that format works out. So the Moose doing everything they can to get into that 3rd spot, and they've got a good chance of doing so, but they've got to find a way to be successful in this upcoming 3-game road trip.
All right.
All right, buddy. Hey, listen, appreciate you doing this. Have fun with the whole figuring out where you guys are going to go or where you guys are going to start. That's always
There's nothing that everybody loves more than having to look at 100 different possibilities.
Yeah.
I imagine, especially if you were doing play-by-play. No, it's great.
Well, actually, you know who I feel for is Scotty Nicholson and Brad Andrews, who are trying to figure out all the hotels and travel for a whole bunch of different scenarios. Are we going to be playing at home? Are we going to be going to Milwaukee? Are we going to be starting at home and going to Chicago? There's all sorts of different ways it could still break down. So those guys are the ones pulling their hair out right now. I just go where they tell me. So it's really easy on me. And we've seen these teams a lot this season, so I'm very familiar with them. So looking forward to that. And hey, like you said, still unofficial, but if Braden Yager is going to make his debut tonight, it's always one of the best days working in the American Hockey League when you get to see that. So excited for him if that is indeed the case.
Well, and you've seen a bunch of guys that have, whether they've gone back to the Moose or not, that have had the opportunity this year to take that solo lap. And so I agree with you, Daniel, that it's always one of the best moments. And it doesn't matter where you are in terms of the season. It's that it's something that they'll never forget, and it always provides an energy.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me on.
Take care.
Daniel Fink joining us from Hockey for All Center.
Always appreciate
In
the
front of
insight.
the-
Great to
in
see
front of
the
the green screen.
That's right. Great to see the Manitoba Moose be able to have the success that
Oh my
they have
gosh.
had so far. And so
Just with all the the call ups and everything like that, I marvel at what they have to do, the coaching staff, when you're just you're not sure what your roster is going to look like from day to day.
yeah.
And then, of course, there's always when a guy gets sent back, or you know what I mean? There's that conversation you have to have, and especially if they're having a tough time with it. It's incredible what the coaching staffs have to do with the minor hockey league level, and especially with the Manitoba Moose.
Yeah. So we mentioned the NHL debuts so far this season. Thomas Milich.
Yep.
One.
Carolina,
Okay.
Leah Salamonson.
Yes. Which we kind of forgot that.
I don't know why we did, because it just feels like he's been a part of the team for so long.
At times it has been. And Danny Jolkin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and of course, your home ice was based on that. And
Yes.
that's the most memorable one because of where he was and the story that he told afterwards. And his dad racing over to see him too.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
So in case you missed it just a few minutes ago, we did see Mitchell Clinton did post from Morning Skate that there is no Neil Pionk, Alex Iafallo, or Vlad Nemesnikov on the ice, that Yager and Chibrikov are on the fourth line, are skating on the fourth line in line rushes with Niederreiter.
Yeah.
And Colin Miller is in on the second pairing beside Dylan Sandberg with no Pionk out there as well. And
also of note, Brad Lambert with Adam Lowry and Cole Perfetti. So
yes,
moving up in the world is Brad Lambert into the top 6 as of this moment.
Which is where a lot of people want to,
I want to see him
eventually.
there. Yes.
In order for if Brad's going to have success at the NHL level, that is where with his skill set you would anticipate he would have to play.
Yeah, and this is what you want to see. First off, it's great that they've given him this long extended look. It had to happen. But now, as it stands, it looks like he's going to go in the top 6. So great opportunity for Brad Lambert to play with Cole Perfetti and Adam Lowry. Sorry.
And the Connor Hellebuck starting routine was also underway. So it looks like he will get, would that be his 10th?
10th consecutive start and 21st in the last 23.
For it.
Yeah.
So the workload continues, it appears, for Connor Hellebuck. As we mentioned, Jesse Granger wasn't able to join us live, but he was able to join us earlier this morning. So we had the opportunity to speak to him about a variety of things with this Vegas team that is in a fight to finish somewhere.
They're in the playoffs again.
Which they have clinched, but where exactly they're going to finish in the Pacific Division or even potentially in a wild card spot, depending on how things close out in the remainder of the season for them. But we had the opportunity to talk to him about a variety of things, including the newest addition to that Golden Knights team, and that would be Behind the Bench with John Tortorella.
Pleased to welcome from The Athletic, Jesse Granger, who covers the Vegas Golden Knights, I believe the Colorado Avalanche as well. I know The Athletic has you guys doing multiple things, but I will say this, you're a goalie guru on top of that. Is that fair to say?
Guru, I try to be. You know what? I'm lucky enough that I get to talk to the best goalies and best goalie coaches in the world on a daily basis, and I try to repeat some of the smart things they tell me.
How is there's so many people that don't delve into the goaltender that cover this game, so that you must have some extra street cred with the goaltenders and goalie coaches out there in the league, right?
You know what? It does help. There's a goalie union, right? And
Yes.
when they find out that you're part of the club, like I never played at a high level. I played goalie my whole life. I still play it 3 nights a week, beer league. But when the goalies find out that you're one of them, just not nearly as good as them, they'll still they give you a little cred, and the conversations usually go different directions. It's a lot of fun.
That's great. Somebody else who has a ton of street cred is John Tortorella, who, Vegas, you never know what to expect. That's the thing. When something crazy happens with the Golden Knights, you're not surprised. So when John
always keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, when John Tortorella was named as the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, what was your reaction, and how's it going so far in the short time with him?
Yeah, you cover this team for 9 years the way I have. You learn that nothing should surprise you that they do. And it was shocking when they fired Gerard Gallant the second year. It was shocking when they fired Pete DeBoer. And it was just as shocking when they fired Bruce Cassidy. Obviously, he won a Stanley Cup with this team, but things weren't going well this season. It seemed like since they won the Cup in 2023, the team had kind of the roster didn't fit Bruce Cassidy's system as well as it did back when they won that Cup. And they weren't able to do the type of things that Bruce Cassidy was asking them to do, specifically playing the zone defense in front of their net and clearing out that area. You bring John Tortorella in, who's obviously a super experienced coach. He is built for this situation. Like, coming in with 8 games left, you don't really have time to install new systems. It's more going to be, can you get the energy going? Can you get these guys focused on the small things within that system that you're already playing to get them playing better? And it's obviously worked brilliantly. They're 5-0-1 since he took over. And I will say the schedule has helped. The Golden Knights did help John Tortorella out by giving him 2 games against the Canucks and 1 against the Flames in the first 3 games. But regardless of that, this team was struggling really badly, and they've looked a lot better since bringing Torts in.
Look, one of the areas that they've struggled with this year is in net. What have you seen in this last little bit with respect to where they're going to go with their goaltending in the future? And do you feel as if John Tortorella has maybe found one particular netminder that he'd like to lean on?
It certainly seems like Carter Hart's his guy, and that's not surprising considering the two were together in Philadelphia. Carter Hart had been given some chances here in Vegas. Aiden Hill was injured when Hart first came back, and Hart was the starter for that stretch. Then Hart gets hurt, and then Aiden Hill came back and was the starter while Hart was out. This is the first time we've really seen them both healthy on the roster together, and Tortorella started Hart 3 games in a row, which to me signifies that's our starting goalie. He started the other night in Colorado, which was a big game, so to clinch the playoffs. So to me, right now, it looks like Hart's going to be the guy. Wouldn't surprise me if we see them both in net at some point. Hart's been pretty good lately. Prior to his injury, when he first came back, it's a little understanding he hadn't played hockey in almost 2 years. He wasn't very good. And Aiden Hill hasn't been very good this year. The goalies certainly deserve their fair share of the blame. The stats, I think, are a little misleading. I think that the goalies have been better than their stats indicate. As I was talking about earlier, I think this team, they used to be so good in front of their net. And when they won that Cup in 23, that was, to me, the biggest reason they won the Cup was Alex Pietrangelo, Alec Martinez, Nick Hague, Zach Whitecloud, Braden McNabb. Those guys just wouldn't let anyone in front of the net. They play that kind of shell defense around their crease, and no one could get there. They've kind of chiseled away at that, and they've added talented defensemen since then. Noah Hannafin and Rasmus Anderson are both amazing defensemen, but they aren't. Their specialty isn't bullying guys out of the front of the net. They're more skilled finesse players with the puck. And to me, what I was seeing was a team that can't clear those bodies out of the front of the net. And then not only do you have the opposing team try to screen your goalie, but now your own defensemen are getting in your goalie's way because there are just so many bodies there. And when a puck from the point goes in, it hurts the goalie stats big time when you look at those expected goals numbers like that. That will crater your stats quickly, and that's, to me, what happened to the Golden Knights goalies this year. Is their stats are just horrible, partially because they haven't had a great season, but also the play in front of them has changed dramatically from what we're used to seeing from this Vegas team.
So the Athletic just recently released an article with each team's MVP and kind of the player that's let a lot of people down. Jack Eichel, no surprise at all. You named him as the team's MVP this year. You said he hasn't played as well as he has in years past, but has he really elevated his game since the United States won gold at the Olympics?
He has. Eichel's the best player on this team, and the Golden Knights go as Jack Eichel goes. He is the driver of offense. I'll say this. He hasn't really stepped up his game since the Olympics. It's been Mitch Marner who we've seen that jump from. And he was good, but not great for his first half of the season here. He's still kind of dipping his toe in the water. It's a new team. He's still trying to get comfortable. Mitch Marner's so talented that even at his worst, he's still going to be a really good player out there. But we hadn't really seen the best of Mitch Marner until I think this most recent stretch, especially under Tortorella. He's been awesome. He had a 5-point night a couple weeks ago. He has just been really driving the bus for this team. So I will say that if he had been playing like this the whole season, Marner would have been my answer for MVP.
And looking at,
No, go.
Tomas Hertl, like he was another one of those big trades that the Golden Knights had made. You list him as the guy that's kind of disappointed so far this year. How come?
Yeah, I'll say this. On the power play, Hertl is awesome for this team, and he's the biggest reason they went from having a not so good power play for all those years, even despite having all that offensive talent, to last year that really changed and they were a top 5 unit. And to me, Tomas Hertl's the biggest reason for that. In front of the net, he collects pucks, he gets second chances, he can one-time it into the net when Mark Stone feeds him that pass from below the goal line. But at 5-on-5, he's been very disappointing. He's not producing the way you'd hope. He's not driving offense at 5-on-5. Like his line has been getting beat. I think he's a -16 the last time I checked on ice, which is the worst on the Golden Knights team. And for how talented of a player as Tomas Hertl is, for how big of a cap hit he carries, he certainly hasn't lived up to that this year.
This is the first time that the Jets have seen Golden Knights since Torts took over for it. Is there something that fans should be watching? Is there a difference that we're going to see that's noticeable in either the style that they're going to play, or what can people expect tonight?
Yeah, they're playing a lot more aggressively. Torts likes to use the phrase checking forward and playing on your toes, not on your heels. And we've seen the positives and the negatives of that so far. Their forecheck is much better. I think the Golden Knights, one of their biggest struggles in scoring this season has been because the forecheck isn't as good. And they've struggled to score, especially early in games when it's kind of in a neutral state. And we've seen under Torts, they have gotten the game going a lot earlier because they're playing forward. Now, they've also given up a lot more odd man rushes than they did against Cassidy. I remember in the first 2 games under Torts, I was like, I don't know if we've seen this many odd man rushes against since Bruce Cassidy was hired. And it took 2 games to match that. But they're getting results though. So they're kind of playing the game of we'll give up some chances in order to get some chances of our own. And it's worked out for them and they're winning games. So yeah, they are playing quite a bit differently.
Just before we let you go, it's your first time on the show this season, so bear with me as I play something for you. Then get ready to be asked one of the weirdest questions you've ever been asked before in your life. It is time for Soups On, Jesse. Bet you never saw that coming. Listen, you've traveled all over North America covering this game. Do you have a favorite soup that you like to go to in your travels or in the great city of Las Vegas?
I'm not much of a soup guy, but I will say the chowder in Seattle down at the market is I can't remember what the place is called. It might just be called Pike Place Chowder. The line goes outside. You're like waiting in the rain for the chowder, but I do it every single time I'm in Seattle. The seafood chowder down there is spectacular. I don't know if that counts as soup. Like I said, I'm not much of a soup person,
No, it
but
does.
I will go with the Pike Place Market chowder in Seattle. It's phenomenal.
We need to come up with something. So food somehow has turned into a big part of our show.
Yes. Snowballed so beyond belief.
Yeah, we need to come up with something besides soup for people that live in incredibly warm
Right.
climates.
Where soup is not really
we
the first thing.
appreciate that, while we often need soup here in order to try to stay warm, we understand that somebody that is in Vegas might not have the same sort of necessity for, really warm food to the same extent that we do. But thanks for playing along, Jesse. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, great stuff from Jesse. See, ice cream soup, yeah. It is tough when you're like, I do not think about soup when I'm in a warm climate. So I can see why those that live in this type of climates don't think of soup. But thank you so much for Jesse for playing along.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as he mentioned, when he does go on the road, although he's not a soup person, chowder, can't go wrong with that. We do want to remind everybody as we get ready to close things out. And if you're heading over to Winnipeg Sports Talk as well, where the Jets talk will continue.
Yes.
as they set up this game here tonight against Vegas, that the final home game for the Winnipeg Jets this season for the regular season is April 16th. San Jose Sharks, Macklin Celebrini in town. That is on Thursday night. Letting you know in advance,
Right.
The fan appreciation sale is going to be continuing not only for that game, but it is all week long. Save 30% off most in-stock items at your Jets gear store. So whether whiteout gear is necessary or not this year, you can never go wrong with some Winnipeg Jets merch. And there's so many great things in the stores, 30% off most in-stock items. And that offer is valid through April the 16th. A reminder as well, you want to be a part of the Tim Hortons Hockey Challenge. Here, my fingers are crossed because I did not do well yesterday with it, that today starts a new trend. So that is something that you can continue on as well with your 3 picks that you had.
I don't do it every day because I don't want to steal free coffee from people. So I got Perfetti, Cider, Taves.
I have Perfetti, Jimmy Benn, and Scott Lawton as well. And do we have anything else? I don't think
No, we
so.
don't. No,
Just
I think we covered all the bases.
No, it'll be interesting to see though. How do the Jets respond tonight in Vegas?
They will do so
after the disappointing loss. This is an absolutely must-win game for the Winnipeg Jets to keep the very slim playoff hopes alive. A loss tonight, and it is elimination.
Or a win by the Los Angeles Kings.
There you go.
But they're going to lose.
For it. There you go with that. But they do close off their road trip tomorrow in Utah. And could we see an NHL debut tonight? It looks like that fourth line could have Braden Yeager as well as Nikita Chibrikov on there. And Colin Miller, it looks, will be on that second pairing with Dylan Sandberg if you were to go based on the line rushes. But of course, we haven't had the opportunity to hear from anybody within the room or head coach Scott Arniel yet. But stay tuned to Winnipeg Jets social channels because we'll have all the updated sound for you from Vegas to get you set for tonight's game.
Thanks so much, Daniel Fink. Of course, Jesse Granger. And of course, you guys for watching here today. We really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the game tonight. It's a late one.
Jamie's favorite. You know, it's the perfect way to close out this regular season for you. 2 out of the 3 will be late ones, but Jamie loves it. His 3 things will be there for you
early
later
in the morning.
tonight, tomorrow morning.
Yes.
So talk about then. Hope you all have a great day. Thanks so much, everyone, for checking in.